So we're on our way out of Montreal.
We're on a train.
We're on Via Rail.
You know,
Montreal to Ottawa.
I dream of a day where we're gonna have like railway from coast to coast to coast, Garmamie. This is the next big way to travel.
I concur. My friend.
What were we doing in Montreal?
Well, we were covering the Elite Nationals 2019.
How on earth did that happen?
Well, it's this,
Didn't we start CCP 3 years ago in your living room and just with 2 handy cams and not really any ideas?
Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, we started with curiosity, passion, interest, and I suppose fire.
Well, we got some fire, baby.
You better believe it, man. And wow, what an interesting 3 days.
3 days and I think a grand total of sleep, maybe 8 hours. Sleep? Maybe.
Yeah, totally.
We went for it. We over-delivered, I would say.
So let's start right from the top. Friday.
Okay.
So on Friday, we both left work early.
We left work early, and I was exhausted because I went, of course, to I went to Muay Thai in the morning, training with Sasha Hijazi. Maybe you heard of him.
I heard him. Yeah.
But so it was the first training after.
Isn't that the guy that goes woo a lot?
That's the guy that goes woo a lot.
The Ric Flair.
He's a
Ric Flair drip.
He's Art of War 3 is coming up. Sasha Hijazi. I might point that out.
That's right.
But so I was training with him, and it was the first one after the holidays.
Right.
So I was really tired after. So we get on the train. We leave work early. We get on the train. And I'm not really sure. I'll be honest with you.
Yep.
I thought we would get there, get to the hotel, grab some dinner, and start preparing for the next day. But Garmamie Sido, the man with a million ideas here, says, hey, let's crash the weigh-ins.
Yeah.
Let's shoot a bunch of weigh-in videos.
Well, if history, we've done this so many times. We've covered all sorts of combat sports events in Montreal and or around the region, from Toronto to Montreal, all sorts of different sports, combat sports, and we've learned as we've done this over and over again that the preliminary sort of content is always really interesting in terms of creating a buzz, in terms of seeing what's happening. So we had
getting in the mind of the fighter.
You know it.
Yeah, and it was neat too because I never know. Like, you get there, weigh-ins are tough. Weigh-ins are tough for competitors. They're going to be grouchy. They're going to be thirsty. They're going to have some dry lips going on.
Bad breath.
They're going to have some stank. You know what's up. But it's a tough mental time for them, right? So do they want to talk? Well, the answer is every time, yes, they do want to talk. A lot of them want to talk. And I was blown away at how many of them were like, okay, who are these guys? And, they're doing interviews? Count me in.
Totally. We're there to bring attention and focus on the athletes.
We're
and the
shining a
competitors.
spotlight on the athlete.
That's
Absolutely.
why we're there, and it's always easy to get interviews, and we interviewed a few people that night and kind of got a feeling, because this was our first ever judo event. We've covered essentially
at a national event at that,
a very unique one, an invitation only. The best of the best from coast to coast to coast, and so we interviewed a few people there, and in preparation. But we ended up doing, I believe, 9 interviews
on the first night.
Was it 9? I've lost. I don't know what day it is.
I haven't slept in a couple days.
That's it. I'm completely disoriented. Yeah.
It was a lot. Like me and Garmamie have this thing where we're like, okay, we're gonna go in, we're gonna do 3 or 4 interviews, we're gonna get out, edit, get a good night's sleep. Then we end up shooting 8 million interviews.
Totally.
Hang on, we got an announcement from the conductor here. Hang on. We're in Alexandria, folks.
Yeah.
In case you're
Virginia. Isn't that in Virginia?
I think. Did we go back in time?
I think so. We time traveled. But anyways, you were saying, yeah, we gather a bunch of interviews.
Well, we always just go crazy. We're like, hey, we're only going to do so many. But then, once you get the vibe and you get it rolling,
right?
And you get excited, and the fighters are excited, and you're excited, and we overshoot, and then we're like, oh shit, who's going to edit all this? Oh shit, that's us.
Diamond Lewis Hill.
Diamond Lewis Hill's going to edit all this.
Right.
So we always do what we always do. We grab a case of beer and we go back to the hotel and we edit, and the beer sits. We take a couple sips and it sits there and gets warm while we edit because we're working.
Right.
And we get them done. We publish them that night. I mean, that's what we're known for. We're known for turning it around immediately.
And we have to, I think.
And the hits it got, and Judo Canada shared it.
Judo Canada, as far as their social media, their ability to respond, they're tagged on accounts and on posts. They're responding. They're engaging. They're hitting like. They're hitting retweet. They're hitting Facebook share.
And that's why they brought us. By the way, we're at Alexandria Station. In case you're wondering.
Yes, Alexandria. Great place. Been here many times. I don't know what the martial arts scene is like around here. I don't know if it's more of a judo or boxing town.
I'm guessing it's the West End Wallop, I think.
The West End Wallop. You hear that, folks? Google the West End Wallop. No, but it's great that on their end, they understand the value of timeliness in terms of reacting quickly to content. And, once you're tagged on a post, not waiting forever, hitting share.
They get it.
They really do.
And I'll say something like a spoiler alert, like going forward. I know we're starting at the beginning here, but they get everything. That was one of the most well-run things I've ever attended.
Please elaborate.
Well, first of all, we got there, we didn't have to ask questions. People were there. They had people there to answer any questions that we may have had. They gave us information. They gave us places to go, places to hang our coats, for God's sakes. Here's where the equipment can go. Here's where you can shoot. Oh, you need some food? You need some coffee? Here's where it is. Everything was taken care of.
Big round of applause to Judo Canada as an organization.
Absolutely.
Everyone who works for that organization and partook in organizing this event was nothing but welcoming, dedicated professionals. And we witnessed it. They put on an outstanding Elite Nationals 2019.
My God.
We're being brutally honest here because we've been to so many shows.
We've been to a lot of shows.
All types of shows, folks. And we've got stories that we simply can't share.
Some we can never tell.
No, we can't.
My God.
I mean, we could, but we're not going to go there. We're not those types of people.
I can't say those words.
But but truly, thank you very much for Judo Canada for inviting us and exposing us to this high level of professionalism. My goodness, this thing was run it was by far, as you mentioned, I would say the best event we've covered thus far. We've been at this for 3 years. Is that a fair statement?
That is a fair statement, but I mean, there was 3 years of, when we started, we weren't really sure exactly what was going to happen. We started by doing a video saying, hey, we're going to do stuff. Right. And then we're like, hey, what if I don't even know where the first one was. What if we did post-fight interviews somewhere? Yeah. And then I remember asking, hey, it was either rec or hybrid or something. Hey, would you guys like post-fight interviews? And they're like, of course we would like post-fight interviews. Sure. Stupid, show up. They didn't say that, but you know what I'm saying. Right. And it blew up from there.
It sure did. And how would you describe, in a few words, the fans who attend a Judo Canada national event like the Elite 8? How would you differentiate the average fan from
I'll take it from here. Look. Here's the reality of the situation. I watch judo. I do watch judo on the television. Yeah. I watch it on the internet. I follow them on Instagram. I do all the social media stuff. I like judo a lot. I thought it was like every other art out there in that you put on an event, you have two types of people who show up. Mm-hmm. You have fans and friends and family, and then you have drunk know-it-all dirtbags.
Sure.
There was none of that at Judo Canada. There was zero drunk know-it-all dirtbags.
That's right.
And there's a big dirtbag factor at the other events. I'm sorry to say it.
I think it's
if you're listening,
known.
If you're listening, you're saying, "Well, wait, what do you mean? There's and you may be the dirtbag if you don't know who the dirtbag is."
That's right.
No, but there's always the people who want to pretend to be the expert. They get a couple beers in them. They pop out their chests a little bit, and maybe they start some shit in the stands.
Right.
At Judo Canada, it was all respectful, but such educated fans
and emotionally invested, for sure.
Emotionally invested, but in a good way.
Right.
Not in a dirtbag way, so to speak.
Totally.
And listen, let me go back a bit here. Every event we cover, every event we commentate on. Yeah. We love the fans' passions. We love all that, but there's always one or two that get a little,
that have some questionable behavior.
Yeah.
Totally.
And we didn't see any of that. As a matter of fact, everyone knew who we were, thanked us for coming, said, hey, maybe you want to interview my son? And of course we want to interview your son. We want to interview everyone.
Right.
It was It was the most welcoming, the most knowledgeable. I learned so much
Same here.
about international sport and national sport.
Totally. And I mean, it's a reflection of the sport's values, right? As far as respect, humility. It's ingrained through and through in it's just the bowing on the tatami, before, after, so on and so forth. Even the referees, I mean, it's ingrained. It defines, judo defines itself by its values, and it's done that consistently over the years. It may have, it's evolved. The rule sets have continuously evolved, just like any other sport, really. But its values have remained consistent, I would argue.
I agree, and I'll point out too, like alcohol was readily available
Right.
at this event, and some people may say, well, it's just people consume more alcohol at certain events, they get a little rowdy, and we love the rowdy fans, we do.
Yeah.
But no, there was alcohol there. There was free alcohol in the VIP area where we were, as a matter of fact, and everyone was, man, I've never experienced that. It kind of felt like, I used to have to take my brother who was hockey when I was young, and you'd go to, and it'd be like up early, the parents are bringing their kids to the hockey. It felt like that, but they were better than hockey parents too. God, I got a problem with the hockey parents, eh?
Tell me about the hockey parents.
Oh man, the hockey parents, they get in, they just, instead of encouraging their children, they're like, you should have did this, you should have did that. And hockey parents will fight each other.
Yeah, we've seen that. We've seen that on video for sure.
What the hell?
I don't get that. We've seen that. But it's interesting too, because this was a unique event, generally speaking, for the sport of judo, because it was an invitation only tournament with U18, that's under 18 judokas, male and female, and senior level judokas, so that's plus 18. And these competitors include members of they're the best in each division, so you've got members of the national team who are already competing internationally and are making quite the name for themselves and their country. And it's to showcase the best here in Canada, and you were exposed to the best judo and judokas in Canada, and this was your first ever
live judo event.
What did you think? I know you're a big fan of Nawaza. You're a big fan of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You're a big fan of all combat sports.
And I said that on the broadcast because I got to commentate national level judo, which blew my mind a little bit. How did we get here? Anyway, I can, like, Garmamie is you practiced judo for many years, off and on, including like Russian styles and all that stuff.
I'm by no means an expert. I'm a recreational.
Of course,
a fan.
So am I. I'm a recreational everything, right?
Ditto. Yeah.
But I've never trained judo. I've done some takedowns. Does that make me a judoka? It does not. My takedowns are generally horrible. But the level, man, just the sport itself is such an exciting sport. So many different ways to win.
Yeah.
And what I love about it is the ippon, like, blink and it's over.
That's it.
Like you could make one little mistake and your feet are flying through the air. You're going through the whole clock.
That's
Boom,
it.
12-1.
Yeah. You're getting dropped.
You're getting dropped, and the show's over. And the pins,
they're getting stretched.
The control of these pins and the. But just seeing the athletes and the power, and you can. I told Garmamie this earlier. You can pick out a judoka out of a crowd.
Tell us.
Just the body language.
Yeah.
And they have this, walk where it's kind of just the expression of power and strength and posture, and without being cocky.
Right.
But man, you can pick out a judoka body type, be it short, be it stocky, be it tall. There's a real raw functional strength to judo.
No doubt.
And you see them do this for 4 minutes and beyond. Straight.
That's it, yeah. And I mean, you could have told me it was a cauliflower ear convention, and I would have said yep, because just about everyone was rocking some heavy duty cauliflower ears.
I dare say we had the sexiest ears there.
Well, I don't have any cauliflower.
I don't have any cauliflower ear either.
And we did a lot of hand shaking, and I'm surprised I still have hands, because I shook hands with some of these. Some of these coaches,
my God,
old timers to contemporary to current competitors, and I'll tell you, just the grip on the handshake, it was frightening. They got a lot of power, when they're not even trying, and they're probably listening to this, laughing and shaking. What
they're laughing. They're laughing. And
it's
funny. They broke me mentally with a handshake What do they do in competition with
minimum
grip?
effort, maximum result?
Yeah.
I mean, like damn, you know. And as we're there doing multiple things.
We
right?
did a lot. Like we
What were we doing there?
Well, we did commentary.
Yeah.
And we would, of course, there was people there.
We were doing commentary for the live stream portion.
We were doing commentary for the live stream portion.
Mm-hmm.
But then, of course, there's practicing judokas, retired judokas, experts in the field, and VIPs who are going to jump in the commentary and give us a break.
Sure.
So what do we do when we have a break? We go do post-fight interviews.
Mm-hmm.
And then what do we do if we have a break from that? We edit them. And what do we do if we have a break from that? Well, Garmamie jumps in and does the uploading on social media, which I got to say, like, if you don't know what social media is, it's a huge job, and I'm so glad Garmamie's here to do it because I never want to do it, and I like his write-ups, and I like his tagging, and I've watched him do it, and I've sat back and watched it, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so...
Painful?
Well, it's a lot more than people think. You know, people who just, do the Instagram and hashtag some stuff, they're not getting it. You think of everything, and it's encompassing. So, really, we're wearing...
4 hats.
4 hats.
Right, and so every time, like at every second, more or less, we were producing content, working on content, delivering content, coordinating content.
And then when the show's over, we go back to the hotel and we edit more content and we upload more content. And I shared that picture on Instagram. I'm editing from a break from commentary while Garmamie's doing an audio interview
with the head coach there.
Yes,
Sasha. Yeah, and I mean, it's just the nature of what we're trying, what we're doing is as content creators, and capturing the fact that we have access to these competitors, we have access to these coaches, and I think respectfully, all parties see the need for content generation. It was a huge learning experience. In the sense that each time we do this, we learn about sport, we learn about its coaches. For me, I must say, like, it was so cool. The pace was pretty intense, and just listening to fellow commentators who happened to be Judo Canada sports,
they blew my mind.
Yeah, it was fascinating, because they're chiming in on certain detail and nuances that, quite frankly, some of these commentators had 50 years in the sport.
Absolutely.
And even talking, I mean, we interviewed members who, people who work for Judo Canada, like Andres Sunday, who's the sport director, and he's so knowledgeable, and he's very passionate about judo and wants to share and inform people about the sport. But literally, like, the amount of talent and knowledge that was concentrated in that building in La Tohu was really impressive. You could tell that it was more or less the who's who in terms of the best of the best.
It was the who's who of judo, and what's interesting is judo supports judo, and we've seen that nationally and internationally. So every judo player knows every other judo player. Like, it's a small judo world, as I said on the broadcast a few times. Mm-hmm. But I think sometimes it's like a balloon, right? So you have a balloon inside where, the outside is tight and everyone inside knows everyone. And sometimes it takes a pin like Capital Combat Parley to come in, pop that, and expose it to the rest of the world. And I hope we got to deliver some judo to people who maybe didn't watch judo before, or maybe now they're curious about it.
We did exactly just that. I know, I mean, based on the sort of content we usually focus on in terms of sports, we cover, grappling sports such as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, which is a striking sport, mixed martial art. When it was when amateur was legal in this province. Remember that?
It'll be back. It'll be back
for sure.
But by the way, can I just say we got to get Nick Castiglia on the phone? Not from the train, obviously, but he's the hardest working man in combat sports promotion. And if anyone knows when amateur MMA is coming back,
he's an insider.
He's an insider. We got to talk to that guy.
We sure do. But the point is, you're talking about CCP being there. Of course, we're fans of the sport of judo, but at the same time, we cover all these other sports, and we want to share the magic and the sports entertainment that judo has. Those elements of sports entertainment, quote unquote, to potential new fans, and we're looking at the analytics, and I'm going to assume that it's had a dent, but we got lucky to a certain extent because, as you mentioned before, these people, they get it. I mean, Patrick Esbarbes, who we dealt with, very positive, chill, calm dude, hilarious, and
everyone there was so positive and
totally. I'm dropping names here.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone we interacted with was really welcoming to us because we are not part of this community. Like, I mean, do you know what I mean? Like, you called it a bubble.
Yeah.
We're not part of that bubble.
You are in a big way. You've done a lot of interviews with judokas.
No. Yeah, I hear.
I know you're being humble. I'm gonna pump your tires for you here, but they found you organically on the internet.
Sure.
And
sure. I mean, I had interviewed, of course, from Tony Walby
yes.
to Andre and to Ben Kendricks, of course. So yeah, I mean, there was some content floating around, and it's great that we got this opportunity. And overall, I was really, really impressed by all this talent concentrated in one area. Especially the under 18. When you consider some of these competitors were as young as 14. 15, 16.
Walking around with a brown belt, a black belt.
That's it, man. And on the mats, on the tatami, fighting, relentlessly and consistently. And I mean, some of them, we interviewed them, of course, but as you interviewed, I think it was Evelyn, mispronouncing her first name, Alexander. She came first in the senior division, I think,
yes,
for 56 kilo, 56.
And all she was concerned about was the next day.
Right, because she was fighting.
She was fighting again in the under 18, and
right.
She was like, "Yeah, I got gold here, but it's next. It's a. There's no rest for a judoka."
No, totally. The pace, the frequency. It's a tournament-based fight competition. So chances are you're fighting upwards to 4, 5, 6 times, right? If you're making it all the way to the end, and we're talking about a long day, a long stretch.
2 long days.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I talked about this on the broadcast too. Like,
right.
if you're doing that, we're on a train, so we got.
I mean, if people are liking what we're hearing, make sure you follow Capital Combat Parley.
We got a couple of spectators.
Yeah,
of course we do. But yeah, just the under 18 people who are doing that 2 days in a row. I have so much respect for that, and I talked about it on the broadcast that life's hurdles aren't going to be much for them when they've already conquered this.
You mentioned that.
Through judo, you're building better human beings for the future. I truly believe that.
Totally.
Hey, go out, put your kids in judo.
Totally.
There's so many benefits.
Totally.
Self-defense.
Mm-hmm. Work ethic.
Self-development.
Discipline. Yeah. And
grip strength.
Totally. Break falls, you can.
Break falls. It's Canada. You're going to slip on the ice. Come on.
Totally. And it was interesting collaborating on the commentary with Judo Canada sports analysts because hearing them talk in particular as to what was happening on the mats. And I remember you and I had spoken and you had mentioned that, like, when you're watching these matches, you're looking at it for what it is. It's judo, but you're also seeing opportunities, particularly in Uwaza, where you as a commentator analyst, you're also thinking like, hey, there's an opportunity here for.
I sure was, from commentating different combat sports,
sure,
and training different combat sports. It's like, ooh, there's a single leg there. Well,
right.
Can't do that.
Can't touch the leg. Yeah.
Ooh, there's a knee bar there. Well, can't do that.
Right.
And this isn't me being high and mighty and saying, it's just I see different things. But the Nuwaza, which in layman's terms is the ground game, of course.
They're the groundwork. Yeah.
Which it's my understanding they're letting it go a lot longer than they used to. And we saw submissions, we saw chokes, we saw arm bars,
of course, yeah.
We saw triangles, collar chokes. I like that part.
Totally.
And judo is adapting to it. Like
of course, yeah.
the other analysts talked about it. They're changing the rules because people are more educated about the ground game now, so it's more appealing. I
mean, this is something like that we know we can prove and adamantly advocate the fact that there is an appetite for when it comes to Niwaza, when it comes to groundwork.
There sure
because
is.
I mean, it's particularly in North America, as we know, in the Americas, Canada and the U.S., Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is very, very popular. And with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and mixed martial arts, groundwork in the sense of no-gi grappling adapted for mixed martial arts, people are accustomed to an arm bar, which is a juji gatame. right? People know the term. They know the term. And with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because it's excelling so much in the Americas, so many people practice it. And it's predominantly, 90% groundwork, 10% stand-up. Depending, what level you're looking at, it's specialization. I think BJJ is a specialization of Newaza, in the sense that it's
that's
very
fair to say. Look, if you can butt scoot and pull guard,
right?
That's very fair to say.
And it's not to take away from the sport. Me personally, as a fan, I want to see the entire story. It's like reading a novel, right? I want to start at chapter 1. Chapter 1 is we're both standing, like competitors.
You better believe it.
You're both standing, and then as JP Quentin, who was a fellow sports, who was an analyst there. Former member of the national team. He's a coach, this, that, and the other. Very interesting individual. He used this analogy where he says kumikata, that's grip fighting. It's like getting the keys to the door.
Yes.
He used that analogy to explain the value and the importance of kumikata, which is gripping, and we saw a lot of that. We saw a lot of kumikata, we saw a lot of tachiwaza technique, because that's what judo is about, right? And from there, there's the niwaza, the transition to the groundwork, the pinning, which you're a big fan of.
Big fan of the pinning, man.
And so on. But all this to say, more and more people, at least in this generation, in the last 20 years, have been exposed and understand groundwork. It's not two people rolling around on the floor. They're they're actually wrestling. They're looking for position. They're looking for transition. They're looking for attacks. And you have that obviously in judo. And it's great that there's more niwaza here. But one thing is, I noticed in particular at the tournament, the referees, at the tournament really did a great job for the competitors in terms of letting them do the ground grappling.
Let them work, yes.
As opposed to, I've seen, where usually refs will call it off and call a mate and not let them wrestle. No niwaza, just tachiwaza. No, they let them work. They give them that opportunity.
They let them work, and I got to tell you, like on a global stage, judo has its own popularity. It's always compared to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and MMA, which is fine. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu being very popular right now, but with the niwaza happening more, it's like the stage is set for judo to just explode. In my opinion, it's such an exciting sport. It's such a dynamic and explosive sport. And I think it needs, once people catch on, and that's what we're helping with, right?
I would assume so, bro. But the thing is, at a global on the global stage, it is
the biggest.
It is, as far as grappling base, it is the most dominant grappling sport. People talk about Brazil and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Judo in Brazil, Brazil is a judo mad craze.
It sure is, yeah.
The amount of people who practice the sport of judo in Brazil and the history of judo in Brazil. But globally, I think it's fair to say that judo is the premier combat sport as far as amateur, international combat sports. And when you think of, the amount of male and female competitors.
Yes, sir.
When you look at gender participation globally, the amount of members, the amount of countries, it's important to mention that, because sometimes we tend to get too regional. We're only thinking Canada, U.S. We're not thinking rest of the world. We're not thinking Europe. We're not thinking Central Asia. We're not thinking Africa, South America, so on and so forth. So it's
but I believe like judo is to jiu-jitsu in North America like soccer is to hockey.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Perfect analogy.
Soccer or football, as they say.
Right.
It's global. It's huge. It may be the biggest sport on the planet.
Sure.
Yeah, and judo is like that everywhere else except here.
Right.
And I think it just needs a light shone a little harder on it, a spotlight, and showcasing these athletes like we tried to do this weekend.
Totally. And it's important to note that the Canadian athletes, over the last couple of years, they've really been making a name for themselves internationally.
They're putting a stamp on things. Absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah.
And for a few different reasons, of course. Like they've got the INS, which is the Olympic Training Center for the judo, for the national team. They're supported there. They're being put under the pressure of training, but they're given the support that's needed to be able to go out and compete on the international stage, because they're representing Canadians, right? And these judokas are out there representing Canada. They're competing at the best tournaments, and they're making the podium, and that's what it's all about. Because after all, it's a sport. It's a combat sport. It's more than a sport. They'll tell you, of course, it's a way of life. There are other values, this, that, and the other, and I'm not going to argue against that. I'm just a sports fan. I like to focus in on the fighting. I like to focusing on the results, making the podium, getting medals. And you know what? Tokyo 2020, a few Canadians, I believe and I hope and I think, are probably going to get the gold medal. Probably they're definitely going to make the podium. It's inevitable.
That was a great part about being a part of the Elite Nationals, is we are seeing those stars of 2020 emerging.
That's it. And even
we saw the future, my friend.
That did, we for sure. And even the younger ones, the up and coming.
Oh my
and this
God.
was the best of the best from all across this big country, from Prince Edward Island. Remember that kid there?
PEI, man.
Yeah, the kid. He got silver medal. George Mambu. I forgot his last name.
I forget
Starts
as well.
with an M.
It definitely starts with an M.
Yeah, and his mom was so proud of him.
She was emotional and happy, it was wonderful.
It was
a
a
wonderful
beautiful moment, man.
Yeah.
It was magic, and there was plenty of that there. There was plenty of families, plenty of fans came out. The venue was stacked. La Tohu. Let's talk about the Tohu. That's the venue
My
that
God.
TKO MMA chose to put on their shows when they made their comeback about 2 years ago or so.
Such an intimate event. Like it's a stadium. It's got the stadium seating.
Totally.
But it takes you 45 seconds to walk around the bloody thing.
Right.
And it's so intimate. Not a bad seat in the house, but man, that crowd can pop when that thing's
Big
full.
time. Big
Whoa,
time.
what a great place. And everyone who worked there was so helpful to us, so nice to us. Everyone who worked there, like Montreal's such a nice city.
Even the Uber drivers, very friendly.
We got picked up in a Tesla.
Let's talk about that. I've never been in a Tesla. I'm not much into cars or whatever, but damn, that Tesla was impressive.
That Tesla freaked me out, man.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, beautiful vehicle. Second of all, running on the electricity as we can't say Edison's name if we're talking about Tesla.
Right.
Jesus. Anyway, but yeah, it had all the bells and whistles, and we asked the guy a million questions about his car.
Yeah.
And then he gave us all the answers, and then we're like, well, why are you picking us up? Shouldn't you be doing select? And he's like, oh, I do select. And then I got worried that I accidentally clicked select, but I did not. He was just nice enough to pick up some foreign travelers in Montreal.
And we logged a lot of gear around, yeah, a lot of bags.
That's the
life, right?
I'll never forget when we were at Crew Jeff's show.
Right.
And at the end of the night, I was changing in the stall out of my suit, and Rob Thomas came in, and I said, "Yeah, this is the glamorous part of media, changing in a bathroom stall after the show."
Right.
Yeah, we lug a lot of gear.
We do.
We're in suits and ties, and we're lugging a lot of gear, and we work hard for the passions that we like, and the competitors and the coaches, they're also following their passions, and to me, it fuels me, and it gives me by. I follow their passion, and it gives me the passion to lift this shit night after night after night.
Totally. Yeah, man. What did you think of the finals there? The last matches, the gold medal matches. What was the best moment for you in terms of judo action? What's the major takeaway as far as
I don't know. I mean, not to make it all about Lewis, but I'm going to make it all about Lewis here.
Of course.
No, it was emotional.
Right.
It was emotional watching the gold medal moments, and I had just seeing these young people and old people,
right?
Because everyone competed, but seeing that they had dedicated their life to judo,
right,
and they were accomplishing this, and just seeing the emotion pour over them, the fans, the cheering, the family, the hard work, and we would see them behind the scenes and in the warm-up area and see that intensity in their eyes. And I wish I was in judo when I was young. Like it really feels like a big missed opportunity with me.
Right. No, I hear you. I can relate to that. I can certainly relate to that. I was really impressed in terms of the judo action, how great the cardio and endurance.
Oh my God!
Of all these competitors.
What was that one match that went to?
golden score. Yeah,
We went to golden score, but
overtime
it just kept going. That was
it was Keegan Young versus what's his name? Damn it!
we haven't slept in 3 days, but
oh man, what's his name? People know. Who,
I know they're gonna make fun of us for not remembering.
Yeah,
but we're on a train here.
That was one hell of a highly entertaining.
My God,
I'm telling. This sport is so entertaining, like it is drama.
Like, were you not emotionally drained after that fight?
Highly drained. You get emotionally invested because it's back and forth, total nonstop action.
And what was the actual golden time? What did the clock hit in the golden score after?
It was probably, essentially, they were fighting for what appeared to be maybe 8 minutes.
Jesus. At full technical strength, bore, everything, like
a consistent pace through and through and through, and it's highly impressive to see that, because it's such a physically we heard it behind the scenes. We spoke to various former competitors.
We spoke to Keegan.
We spoke to Keegan, but we also spoke to former members of the national team who spoke about the toll on one's body, because judo is tough. It is a tough sport.
Yeah, we heard some stories. We heard some stories that aren't, you hear all the glamour stories, but we heard some stories that weren't so glamorous. Like,
no, I mean, we've seen.
I almost made it,
right?
Which is heartbreaking.
It is, and I mean, there's the inevitable is there has to be life after whatever you're pursuing. If it's in this case,
you have to change and adapt. Yeah, you have to.
You have to.
Yeah.
You got to be flexible. There's got to be life after judo. There's got to be a life after whatever. But the pool of talent, when you consider that some of these competitors, the majority of them start at such a young age, which is so perfect. They start at 5. By the time they're like 15, that's a decade in of experience. That's
a decade
10,
of competition experience too, right? There's
Correct,
no substitute for that.
Totally, and they put in their 10,000 hours plus of training, And it's a commitment, it's a sacrifice, but they get to travel the world. And as you were saying, by the time they're done, say by the time they're in their late 20s, they've acquired so much life experience just by traveling, going to different parts of the world, learning, seeing different cultures.
Traveling is the best thing a human being can do.
Yeah, you're opening your eyes to different ways. It's truly remarkable.
And getting exposed to that so young.
Yeah.
Before all the propaganda kicks in.
Sure.
Is I said it before. Judo is building better human beings for the future.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Totally. So what's next? You think we'll do more judo, or?
Well, I mean,
what's happening?
They sounded very happy with what we delivered, and even after the first night when we did weigh-in videos,
right.
They seemed really overjoyed, and they published everything on their social media. So I hope so.
Same here.
Man, I don't even know what to say. I'm very sad it's over. It was such a whirlwind, and I'm kind of emotional that it's over. And totally. I want more judo.
The same here, bro. And you know what's funny? So for the last 5 and 2. What's that? 7 days? For the last 7 days.
Math's not my thing.
Yeah, fair enough. The last 7 days we worked, and now we've got another 5 days of work. Because tomorrow morning we're back in, our 9 to 5. And
look, we didn't get rest. We worked our asses off.
We worked like
but this is what we're made to do. This is where it's at. This is better than a job. This is it.
This is it.
This
is it, man.
And we want more. Give us more, please.
Give us more.
Give us more. Everybody, every combat sport out there, we want to come. We want to deliver for you.
I think we're starting 2019 on a very positive forward step towards the massive EPON.
We're gonna hit the massive EPON.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Brother. Right in the middle.
No Shitos here.
No Shitos. No. Big Yoranagi. Boom.
You better believe it.
Thank you very much for listening to our
to the travel version of CCP. Apparently, yeah.
And I hope we're not annoying the fellow commuters. But if we happen to be annoying,
we do apologize. We're Canadians. We're nice. We're sorry.
Yeah. And make sure you like Capital Combat Parley on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and maybe even Snapchat.
Maybe Snapchat one day.
Yeah, well,
I thought that was used for something else, but we'll.
Well, yeah, you never know. All right.
Take care, everybody.
Peace.